Washington Capitals remain red hot, and Alexander Ovechkin keeps making history. Tyler Kuehl of Locked On Capitals will join us to talk about that and more next on the Locked On NHL podcast.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Right now, my pleasure to welcome back to the show Tyler Kuehl of Locked On Capitals. And Tyler, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Another win for the Washington Capitals tonight. This one a lot more lopsided than many of us thought, but boy, it's been going good right now, man.
Hey, admit it. Anytime you beat Pittsburgh, it's a little sweeter.
Especially when it's Crosby's really first game back and he gets a penalty that leads to a goal by Tom Wilson. And of course, the crowd at Capital One Arena is booing him. And, you know, for reasons unknown, right, Gil? Let's be honest.
We'll leave it at that for now. Yeah. So this past week, Alexander Ovechkin continues to make history, passing Brett Hull on the all-time goal-scoring list. What was the reaction in Washington, and how is it that Ovi is still playing at such a high level?
You know, the Russian machine never breaks was a saying, and then it became a very popular website, but it's still a phrase that holds true with Ovechkin. I never understood it early on because, you know, when you saw him first burst onto the scene, he's this wild kid who's scoring, 100 points in his rookie year on his back or whatever, throwing body checks every which way. I'm like, all right, eventually he'll start to wear down. The problem is he never has. That's the craziest part. And I'll be honest, the way things started off this season, I thought he would have probably beat Hall like a week and a half ago, the way he really started off this season. But, with Ovechkin throughout his career, it's been finding ways to always seemingly to make a difference. Now, tonight, you're right. He didn't score a goal, but he picks up 2 assists. The guy is double digits in both goals and assists at the start of the year. And right now, through 15 games, he is at 28 points. So he's almost 2 points a game. And yes, while he is stuck at 12 goals now after scoring the other night, this is a guy that's still trying to get to that 40 goal mark every single season. And like, I don't know what we keep seeing that cereal ad. I mean, is that some kind of special Russian cereal that him and Backstrom are eating? Because whatever it is, it's working. And that's why he's continuing to score. And my goodness, he started off at this ferocious pace and you think it's going to wear down eventually as the season wears on. But as of right now, Gail, knock on wood, we haven't seen a slight bit of downfall or off play so far from Ovechkin. He's done that his entire career.
Does he have an idea about what it means to pass Brett Hull on the all-time list?
It's really weird because there's been a lot of players. Everyone, they look at Gretzky and they say, well, Gretzky got to play with Howe, which was true for one season. Technically for 2 seasons, because Gretzky's first league in Edmonton was in the WHA, and Gordy and Mark got to play with Wayne during that All-Star series. And then Gordy's last year was the year that Hartford, Edmonton, Winnipeg, and the Quebec Nordique jumped to the NHL. So technically, Gretzky got to play 2 seasons with his idol, if you will. Ovechkin didn't really get a chance to play with Brett Hull because he played, 9 games with the Phoenix Coyotes that year out of the lockout. So I think Ovechkin really knows Brett Hull. I mean, I know he wasn't there for the All-Star weekend in St. Louis, but there's obviously word that goes on, and he probably got the questions all the time, like, what's it mean to be tied with Brett Hull? And I don't think Ovechkin's that, what's the word I'm looking for here? Omnipotent? No, maybe that's not the right word. Just oblivious to Brett Hull. There we go. That's a good one, because Brett Hull was such a great scorer. And, Gil, you saw it as much as I did. That guy found ways to score every which way and in a very similar way. The one-timer at the top of the left circle and a wicked wrist shot. And for a brief time, both had really good hair. Now Ovi's kind of cut it. But so did Brett. They both got old. They both cut their hair, and they both found a way to hit well over 700 goals. And I think Ovi realized it's one more step in that direction, because that's the reason why he signed the latest contract that he has, is because he wants to break that record. He doesn't sign for so many years. He doesn't sign for another 4 or 5 years if he doesn't think that he actually can hit 900 goals. And I've heard people even drop the 1,000 goal mark, but we obviously have to get to the first milestone first. But the way he's playing right now, I think that Hall is not the only name that Ovi's going to have to talk about anytime soon.
And both of them, you talk about the one-timer and the wrist shot. They both also had great setup, man. I mean, Hull and Oates, Backstrom, and Ovi.
And also, if you, man, it's crazy because he was on the power play in Detroit towards the end of his career. Wasn't it Fedorov, Lidstrom, Hall, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, I think it was.
I think that's what it was. And even though there was no such thing as an umbrella really back in the day, but then again, Fedorov could play defense, and Lidstrom and Hall and him could all shoot like mad. So there you go. And I guess we could. I mean, did he play with Ray Whitney or Pat Verbeek one year in Dallas?
I think so.
He had all sorts of setup, man. And you know what? Eventually, who am I kidding? No one was going to come there in Phoenix and help him out during that time. He played with Dot. Okay, there you go. He played with Datsuk as well for a couple of years. So there you go. This guy had setup, man, every which way. And, and Ovechkin has been fortunate that he got Backstrom really early on in his career. And once again, it's a joke. I get the commercial as a comedy, but Backstrom, who's gonna get Backstrom his assists and all of his points? Because let's be honest, if you went down the game sheets of all the assists that Backstrom had, I'm not going to say half of them have gone to Ovi, but a good chunk of them have gone to the grade 8. And that's just showing that if you have the right players with you, and while Gretzky, yes, 894 goals is amazing, but look at who he got to play with. Yep. He got to play with Curry. He had Coffee feeding him out of the breakout and stuff like that. Like, he was getting guys giving him the puck that knew what they were doing. And so that's why I think Ovechkin it's one of those things. You play with the right people and end up being able to be a successful goal scorer as a result.
There's a lot more to the Capitals' success this year, obviously, than Alexander Ovechkin. What have been some of the keys? Well, okay, let's start with that. What have been some of the keys to the success of this team, even without Backstrom in the lineup right now?
Well, the crazy part, I know it's early on, and you can always say, resilience and hard work and, willing to see, next man up mentality. But that's really been the case for this team, because we knew going into game one, all right, Backstrom's going to be out for a while. All right, there's that. But then all of a sudden, TJ Oshie blocks a shot against Detroit, and he's in a walking boot. And then all of a sudden, Anthony Mantha goes under shoulder surgery. And Nick Dowd, for some reason, I don't know what's going on with his legs, but he needs a pair of new ones, because he seemingly can't keep those healthy, even though he did just sign an extension, albeit for $1.3 million for the next 3 years. But the thing is that it's been, while the young kids haven't really done a whole lot, Connor McMichael's really been obviously the star rookie so far, but it's been the fact that, Daniel Sprong has not been the greatest in terms of points, but he's been an effective player. Martin Fehervary has been a great addition since Michael Kempney was not fit to come up to the NHL after trying to recover from an injury. He's still down in Hershey as a result. But it's the fact that these guys have been able to find a way to win without their top players and these veterans that were supposed to help this team despite the old age on this hockey club. A couple new faces have really stepped up and played well. I mentioned McMichael. I've mentioned Fehervary, obviously John Carlson and Nick Jensen are playing well. The goaltending has been solid. Shoot, Zach Fucale the other night plays one game, gets a shutout. There you go. That's the mentality that this team needs to have, and they've been having it so far. And that's why they're 9-2-4 in a Metropolitan Division that does not have a single team that's below 500. The Pens are the worst, dare I say, because they got their butts whipped tonight 6-1.
Yeah, and you mentioned the goaltending. It seems like whoever they plug in steps up and plays well.
Yeah, and Samsonov, I think, played admirably, too, against Columbus. I thought, we thought he was going to be the number one guy opening night. He did get a little banged up in preseason, but then Vanacek came in and played so well that Laviolette's like, I got it right with the hot hand. And it took an injury to Vanacek to bring up Fucale, but Vanacek, I thought, has looked really good. And even though I want to say he's only had 1 or 2 games this year, he's had to make over 30 saves, Gil, but the fact of the matter is this: when he's been called upon, the majority of the time this season, Vanacek has played well and stepped up, made some big stops. Samsonov, when he has been thrown into the net, he got a little bit of a shaky start against Columbus last week, but I thought he came back well and was able to respond well. And that's important for a goaltender, is that, sometimes the puck gets behind you, but how you bounce back is important. We saw it tonight as well. Jake Gensel gets a goal late in the first period. We thought, oh boy, here come the Pens coming back. But Vanacek made a couple of nice saves in the second period. And all of a sudden, the Caps offense took over from there. So it's more or less for goaltending wise, it's not, we don't need showstoppers. We don't need game stealers. We just need goaltenders to make sure that we're still in this game, because the offense, as of right now, at this point, has been able to do the rest.
Tyler, this team doesn't get enough credit for its solid defense. Talk about the team defense. They're top 10 in goals against in the league right now.
And like I said, one of those things is the lack of chances that are given up. Because I can probably only really look at maybe 2 or 3 saves this season where I've said, whoa, what a save by Vanacek, or that was a great save by Samsonov. And as much as I love Zach Kuehl, I've known him since his days in Halifax. He's a great kid. I remember I saw him in Fort Wayne a couple of years ago in the ECHL. That's how crazy this guy's career has been. But he did not have a difficult game against Detroit. Yeah, Detroit kind of really started to come out early. I think that was 7-1 were the shots at one point. But after that, the Capitals defense really kind of started to suffocate the Red Wings offense, which, for people that don't know, Detroit's got a really good offense this year, Gil. They have a lot of young kids, Bertuzzi obviously tearing up, and they held them to 21 shots in a 60-minute game after giving up 7 in like the first 5 minutes. That's how good the defense is. And I mentioned Carlson, Feyervari, and Trevor Van Riemsdyk. I remember there was one game, I think it was against the Rangers. He made a real bad mistake, and I said, oh boy, here comes the American League Rockford Ice Hog, Trevor Van Riemsdyk. We all got to know, love, and well. But all of a sudden, he's really just kind of settled down and realized that he doesn't need to do so much. And that's been a key part. And Justin Schultz, who has always been known as this offensive weapon, has played well defensively. The guy right now is a +1, but that's because his minutes have dwindled. But that's also on the same side of, hey, I don't need to be the guy that when I was called upon in Pittsburgh or before that in Edmonton, he doesn't need to be this high scoring defenseman. He just needs to do his job in his own zone. And that's what this whole group has done. It's a core defensive effort right now, Gillen. And yes, you can obviously point at Carlson because he's the big guy, the big contract, but Feyervari, the rookie, he scored again tonight. It's his 3rd goal of the season. He is both doing things on both ends of the rink. It's been a cumulative effort with this defense. The goaltending and the guys in the blue line are the reason why the Caps have, dare I say, one of the best defenses in the league, which we thought was going to be a massive hole for this hockey club, losing a guy like Brendan Dillon, who brought a lot of toughness back there, and losing Michael Kepney, who was supposed to come back to the NHL this year as one of the veteran guys. But certainly a couple of the younger kids and the new faces have done the trick right now.
No doubt. Tyler, why don't you tell our listeners and our viewers where they could find you on social media and where they could find the podcast?
Well, you can find your podcast free and available on all platforms. So wherever you find Locked On NHL, you can find Locked On Caps as well. And also on YouTube. We just started last week on the YouTube channel. It's been a lot of fun so far. We're bringing a couple more guests coming on here soon. Nice. Locked On Capitals on YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter at Locked On Caps. Follow me, the Insider of the Insiders, Tyler Kuehl, at TJKU29 on Twitter and Instagram. Useless Hockey Jargon on Twitter, and fun puppy pics on Instagram. That's what I'm here for.
I love it. I love it. Tyler, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Gil. You too. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows. You're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friend's login for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all that entertainment you love without the hassle, and it's a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible device required. Content varies by package.